Welcome back, everyone. We are having fun in here today. That was kind of cool to hear my little commercial there right before I have my next guest who has been on with me at least for over a year now. And I have with me Stephanie Maloney, and she's the owner of Premier Estate Planning. Welcome back to the show. You know I love having you here because I learn so much every single time you're on. And that's what I love about the show is and people listen up. If you have heard her and you haven't called, give her a call. You know, because a lot of times people put their heads in the sands with this. We really know that. And for some reason, first of all, we know that people need to hear things over and over and over and again. And you're procrastinators. That's another thing. We also know that too. What we're going to do today, if it's okay with you, I'm even though you don't have your books, I'm going to open it up to the lines of the audience because we did that the last time and it was nice. So what we want to do is I'm going to first introduce you so that you can talk a little bit. And then we'll open up the lines of the audience. So tell everybody about yourself.
Hi, Carol. Thank you for having me today. It's been a really good show so far. Fun information. And Stephanie Maloney with Premier Estate Planning. I love coming on the show because it's really a great opportunity for people to actually hear the information, because when you read it, it's just not as impactful. I don't think even for myself. When I hear things, it resonates with me more. And so I love this format because you can get the word out. And people can stop kicking the can down the road, because people do, you know.
I don't understand why people do that.
It's just not, you know, for a lot of people, I think it conjures up a lot of emotion. They're thinking about how expensive it's going to be. I mean, there's so many excuses we put in the way just because that's what we do. We're humans. I mean, we all procrastinate. And we don't think it's going to be us.
Well, I want to talk about also what makes you different. And this is something that I hope you started it because I want you to do it. I think that was, which is a successor planner. I mean, you're going to help people understand exactly what to do afterwards, not just before. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we started doing successor education many years ago because we learned about older clients that we had like many years ago before we had a lot of good connection with them. We didn't have emails and cell phones, so we lost touch with some of our early clients, and they don't ever have to come back to us again. But a couple did end up coming back to us, and they had really been taken advantage of after the loss of just their first spouse and the cost that they incurred, and there really was nothing that was needed to be done, and it was just super disappointing. But of course at that point there's nothing I can do to help that person. But I said to myself, maybe if I would have done a better job explaining it, or maybe if we would have gotten together after, because it's a little overwhelming when people are putting all this stuff in place and they're like, what did I just do? And it's a lot. I think it's a good idea, you know, a couple months after you get your documents in place, you, along with your people, your decision makers, that if something happens to you, who's stepping in for you? So you figured out who that is, but do they know what to do? And do you know how to teach them what to do? No, none of us do, because we haven't done it before.
I love what you do. I think that it's awesome. And I only could say the same thing as if I had that with my father. Mm-hmm. And here's the biggest thing, too, is that people don't make the conversation very easy. When there's a third party there and somebody who is like, you're not invested with that. Mm-hmm. And, of course, you make it that conversation much easier. And also, you bring up everything. Yep. You know, I remember when my dad, you just want my money, you know, and so you would never talk about it. Or only talk about one thing when there's a plethora of things to go over as well.
People are just, you know, a lot of people don't know how to start the conversation. So you were referring to that little planner that I have that we're giving away today, and it's a peace of mind planner, and it kind of just gets the thoughts going. So sometimes people will use it to initiate the conversation with someone. Like, I just found this for myself. They third party it because they really want to know if mom and dad have documents, but they don't know how to ask.
Well, I think we should open up the lines audience right now. Yeah, and so that people can call in and get it. I like the book because it has everything in it. It's not something small in any way. And it's something that you can get all of your documents, all of that. You know what to do. It's way more than just the documents.
Well, and I think, you know, most of us, when we do start thinking about this, we kill ourselves off in our heads, because who wants to think about becoming incapacitated and now having someone have to step into our lives and operate it, even if it's your spouse. They may not have been the one that did the bills in the house and did all of that stuff. Now they've got a sick loved one, and they're trying to figure out how to run their lives, and they weren't the ones doing it before. You know, everybody has their roles within their house. Or even more important, what if you're single and you have an incapacitation? And single people will always go, well, I'm going to be dead. Who cares? I don't have any kids, whatever. Well, what if you're not dead? You had a serious car accident. You had a stroke. You're out of your life for a couple of months, but you recovered and now you're back. Who's taking care of your life? Who's taking care of your pets? I mean, even your pets.
This is why I love her. She goes through everything.
That she was a person for someone else, and he asked her, but he never went beyond that. He just said, would you be my person? And when I say be my person, that's the person who's going to step in and operate for you. They're going to pay your bills. They're going to make sure you're getting care. Or if you're gone, they're the person doing your estate settlement. So she, of course, they've been friends for 20 years. She was like, of course I'll do that for you. But they never talked any further about it. Then you go forward about 6 months, and she learned he was in the hospital for the past 2 weeks, and she didn't know anything about it. His dog was in his house for 2 weeks. Thank God he was a big dog so he could drink out of the toilet. But that's not what he would have wanted. He had hurt at work. And guess what? She found his paperwork that he got from an online service, and he probably said this, oh, I need witnesses and a notary. I'll get to this. And he never did.
Big part of it. Big part of it. So here's what we want. We want to open up the lines of the audience for everyone to get this. It's an estate planning. It's a book. It's not even a guide. It's got everything there. And our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Call throughout the rest of the show. Everyone should have one of these. Everyone. Absolutely. As if you're over 18, you have kids over 18, please, they need to have it. What's the number one piece of paper they need to have?
Financial and medical powers of attorney. Every adult 18 and older needs those documents. None of us want to ever think about our children being in this situation, but it happens.
It does.
And you could be a parent of a single 35-year-old who doesn't have a person yet. So guess what? You're probably still their person.
Now what?
And now, you've got a 35-year-old. They could have substantial assets. They've got a big 401k. Nobody can make decisions for them without this paperwork. And that's not so shocking when you're dealing with an older adult child, but when you have an 18-year-old, and both of my boys were in high school still, my son was injured 3 days after he turned 18, we had our paperwork. But when we were driving up to Flagstaff, they would not talk to me on the phone, and I'm like, this is exactly what happens.
Yeah.
And I know that, but even when I got that phone call, I looked at my husband and I said, did Joe sign his paperwork? Because I put it on the counter. He knew it was there. But I didn't think I was going to need it.
Yeah.
And
that's
really,
the problem is that
we all operate in that same space. 1 out of 4 don't make it to 65. So who in this room is not going to be here?
I feel sad that it might be me. So here's the thing. I love what you do because you're helping people. You're putting this in their minds. Don't procrastinate. Call in and get the book, get the guide here because you're going to love it to have it. And also, it's going to come along with a successor education.
To your point of what you were mentioning earlier, sometimes, like most families are really excited about successor education, but then you have some families that are really problematic in the sense, and even what brought them to this table at all was because of a problem child, a nosy kid, whatever. And then they don't want to tell them that they have documents because it's not their business. And I'm like, if you just tell them you have documents, it's done. Now, if they keep bothering you, at least they know you've got stuff. They might still be that problematic person, but I'm trying to convince the family right now that I think that would be exactly what they need because they have some interesting things going on. And one daughter is really entrenched. She's the one that does all the caretaking, and the other 3 don't help at all. And, there's just some weird situations that can unfold with not being transparent. When I do successor education, I'm not talking about what you have. I can do successor education for a family I've never met because I'm talking about the big picture. What is the big picture? Mom and dad are in a car accident. Dad's gone and mom's incapacitated. What's your job?
The job is to pick up the phone and get this because I think everyone should have it. And once you have it, you're going to see how much better you're going to feel. And it isn't over once you've done it either. You know this too. Anyone that's also have one, please dust them off. You do second opinions all the time. I'm sure there's a lot of things in there that should be in there that are not. That's another thing because things change, laws change, and all sorts of stuff. So our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Check her out. It's premieraz.net. Hang tight. We're going to be back in just a minute. We didn't talk about the movie, so we have to do that.
Yeah. I'll open up with that. Did you guys see that movie?
What?
I Care a Lot. It's on Netflix.
No,
It's
not yet.
disturbing.
It's accurate though,
Really?
except for the part where the
This is
lady
the man that
she
you need to
kidnapped
talk
is
to
also
right
evil.
there.
Yeah.
You need to talk to that woman right
But
there.
that very
He
first
needs to
opening
talk to
scene,
you,
Yeah.
not the
it's
hair.
opening
Not
scene.
the, he just had
And my
surgery.
son is like,
He
"Oh,
just
I'm getting
had
so
surgery on
angry."
his back.
I can't believe
Oh,
we're
okay.
feeling
He-
bad for her, and
he-
he's just like, "This isn't right. I hope the guy who's
he
getting comes
works
back
here.
and gets
Yeah.
her."
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
a
And I'm
sales
like,
manager.
"Paul!" I go, so it actually
He
ended
just had
good,
surgery
I
on his
guess you
back.
could say.
He'd
But
be
that
perfect for you.
situation
It's,
is
no, it's not going to work. I know it already.
Yeah.
Because he was in, he's walking though.
If
That's
someone
great.
doesn't have documents and they a doctor or
I think
anybody
it's about
says
a See, I don't
do backs,
take
though.
they're in
No,
danger,
but he,
That's-
it's,
that's
I know
fine.
you don't,
That'll
but I
be
think it
nothing.
was his hip. I said back,
And then
but I
you,
meant, I
as the
think
family
it was in
member,
his
they're
hip.
not allowed
I don't remember. You'll have to
And you
talk
have
to
to
him, but look at his
get an
hair.
attorney
You can't
and
help
fight
him with
to
that
get them
either.
back, and sometimes they won't.
So I just ended up to him.
It's so
Especially
funny.
in their in cahoots like
Yeah,
that. And
yeah.
that really like
That was
down to the
just-
T's
I think that
and,
was
like,
great.
people were coming to the homes
It's just
and, like,
perfect.
I was looking for stories for my seminars, and I got on a whole string of them out of Nevada. And we had a big one here too with a bad fiduciary for like 10 years they were
Right.
doing, and they finally got shut down. But it took forever.
That's just crazy.
Forever. And just
That was
taking
a wild
advantage of
movie.
people.
Have you seen that movie?
I haven't yet. No.
It's
Do I want to
disturbing.
though?
Well, it'll make you know though, I mean, you understand the HIPAA and all of that stuff, and
If you don't have an estate plan, you should watch it.
yeah. And when I first kept seeing the thumbnail with the little person, he's
Yeah.
always in like those evil roles,
Yeah.
so I thought it was like a gangster
We don't have
movie.
time. We need an hour.
Yeah. Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch. That's not my kind of
Yeah.
movie. And this client called me, and they're like, I think this is what you talk about.
Oh wow, that's great. Yeah. What
I'm
was
like-
it called again?
I care a lot.
I Care a Lot.
So,
Okay.
I just saw the movie. It was great. It was
Yeah.
a very good
It
movie.
is disturbing,
It is disturbing.
and much of it's really dramatic. But that very opening scene, you'll see it. That's
Okay.
really how it can go down,
Yeah.
which is really scary. It can
But
happen
it's
for a
so
young
weird. I
person.
was watching it, but then it kind of got like at the end, it was like, wow, that was really kind of strange. But
Even with a
the whole
family
thing in the
was
beginning
trying to
can
put
happen
their,
to
like,
anybody.
45-year-old into like a drug rehab because they won't go themselves. You better have that paperwork because once they're in, and then you're out.
Yeah,
And you don't repeat
that's
they don't
very
even
true.
realize
We're going
what
to
they're
talk about
doing.
that now.
That's very true.
They just don't know. You don't know
Yep.
what you don't know.
You're
And
right.
they're not gonna usually offer some advice.
No.
You go, did you know?
You don't learn that in
we
high
should get this
school.
done
You don't learn that
Yeah.
in
before you
college.
come
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
True. Very true.
Because there's no benefit to them telling you that. I mean,
There's
they don't care.
They,
As long as they're gonna get a patient.
exactly. Exactly.
I put you on twice today.
Yeah. That's my other business, the Wellstar.
We'll talk
What's that
afterwards.
business do?
So we do financial services, but we focus on, we call it foundation planning tools. We use life insurance, debt elimination, huge for business owners. We're working with a practice of doctors right now. They're putting $120,000 a month away into this, into life insurance policies to pay off their debt.
Welcome back, everyone. We have our lines open here for people to be able to call in and get this estate planning. It is a planner. It's a peace of mind planner. Believe me, everybody should have one. I seriously mean that when I say this. Please don't procrastinate. I can't even talk today because I'm so upset about it. So, again, our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Check her out on her website. It is premieraz.net. You do free consultations. And the phone number to call her direct, it's 602-371-8898. I just say call in here. Get that planner. Start with that. And it comes along with a successor education, which I think, again, everyone absolutely needs that for sure. We've been talking at the break, and we were supposed to talk this before we started getting on and stuff, but there's a movie out,
Yes.
and it's called I Care About You.
Oh, I care a lot.
A lot. I care a lot. I care a lot. I just saw the movie. I can't believe it's that. I saw it recently. Let's talk about it. If anyone has seen it, you're going to know exactly what she means.
Yeah, so I had clients actually call me and they were like, I think this is what you're talking about when you're giving us examples of things that can happen. And it's basically showing how the resulting of not having your powers of attorney, because the distribution documents, wills and trusts, that wouldn't have mattered in this situation. It's control during life and incapacitation. And sometimes, because, just think of all the people whose parents are at a distance from them and they think their parents are fine. you know, because that's what parents are telling them. But they also don't want their kids to know always what's going on either, because kids are busy, they're working, they're raising their kids, they don't have time for me. That's what they tell themselves. And so just imagine a scenario where you have a person, maybe they're single, they're a widower, and they're living in their home, and they had a surgery, and now they have rehab coming to their home because maybe they're in an ambulatory and they can't get out, they don't drive. So now this person's in their home, and they feel like maybe this person really isn't safe. They shouldn't be living there by themselves. And now they report it because you're supposed to report when you hear somebody's in danger, and there's definitely legitimate reasons to do it. But if this person doesn't have documents and now they show up like they do in that movie at the door and say basically you have to come with us or you're going to be arrested, that happens.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's
And
crazy.
If, like in that opening scene of that movie, if that son who was pleading for his mother because he was trying to do what she wanted, she didn't want to go to a facility. Maybe she did need to. So maybe he wasn't like really taking it as seriously. But man, if they would have just had that paperwork in place, he probably could have gotten his guardianship back. But if they never had paperwork, you're in the system.
And boy, what it can happen when you're in that system.
And
It's
you can
hard to
imagine
get out.
how much it costs. People don't come to the estate planning table, I think, a lot because they're really worried about costs. And there are definitely firms out there that charge crazy amounts of money. But that's their
Explain
prerogative.
what you do that's different.
So one thing that is very important to us, we're an Arizona certified legal document firm. We operate under the Supreme Court of Arizona. So we're not required to have an attorney to prepare documents. We do, though. We've been working with Steve Johnson since '95, since we operated in Arizona, because the program didn't come along until '03. So that is one thing that I think the public, I wish they knew about, because it's a fantastic program for people to get things done much less expensively and by a qualified professional.
And if an attorney is needed, you always have one in the
Absolutely.
office if there's needed.
Yes, and we can handle, we do special needs planning. We can do anything that people need. As robust, we have all levels of clients.
Now, we've got our lines open here for everyone to get the Peace of Mind Planner, and it's awesome. I think everyone should have it. It comes along with that successor education, which she specializes in, and probably one of the only one in Arizona that does it. And that part about it, I think, again, everybody should have that and learn a little bit about what you need to do, not just before,
it gets
afterwards.
the conversation started, too, because going back to that family I was speaking about earlier, it's problematic, and I think they're going to let me come in and do it. I know that child that they're worried about, she's going to be fine with me. And I'm hoping that I can squash her concerns or what have you. I never am talking about specifics of people's stuff, though. That is always left to the creators. That's if they want to talk about it, great. That's not my job.
Yeah, this stuff is not by the way, it's not important.
It isn't.
It really
It
isn't. What's really important is what is it that you want? Who do you want to take care of you? And God forbid something happens to you or your child over 18. I'm telling you now, I just got hacked recently, okay? And I don't know if I should have said that on the air, but it doesn't really matter because now I'm even more secure than ever, right? But now everything even has second security, okay?
Oh, yeah, digital assets.
Okay, everything is second security now. And so when you think, and we've been talking about this, when you think about when you call Amazon and you got to get, approval to just make sure that you are who you are, this is what we're talking about here. When you go, God forbid something happens to your child and they're over 18, it can happen where they say, sorry, I can't give you this information because, he's
They're an
over
adult.
18. They're
and
an
all
adult.
they do is look at their driver's license if they're in an accident. If you're in a little town, everybody, okay, it's going to be different.
Right.
But we don't live in a little town. And all of this paperwork, all it's about is relieving financial and medical professionals of liability. Because if this book of paper is being used, you're not using it yourself.
Now, this book that you're talking about, this is an actual
This is
estate
somebody's
plan
estate plan.
that you're doing now. And let me just ask you a question because I see that it's probably about a couple of hundred papers. I don't even know. Okay, but I'm going to ask you because you brought this. For this particular person, which we're not going to name, is it a small one person, a single person? I'm just trying to, because there's 200 pieces of paper in there.
It's a couple.
Okay.
A couple, just an average, I would say, American family. Just a nice couple in their 70s that just
So what
kind
I'm
of
going to
learned.
say,
Their son actually asked them if they had documents, and they thought that their will was enough for them. And then they just had me in for a consultation and learned a little bit how a will works versus how a trust works. and they decided they wanted to move forward with a revocable trust. Because a lot of people have misinformation about what certain documents do. My husband joked about this forever, and now I really believe it's true. Most people get their education from movies and television. And many times it's incorrect, like all parts of it.
Well,
And
first
you're
of
just
all,
like, holy cow, no wonder people feel this way or they don't understand. If this is where they're getting their information.
I'm just going to say, because I know I have one. You know that, right? And
Got
I'm
dust
going,
on it.
no, the problem is it's not that thick, and I'm thinking maybe I have missing some things, you know?
No, you're just a
'Cause-
single person though.
Yeah, but but I have 2 children,
Right.
Right, and listen, we all have. Some people have assets and things like that. Please, I implore anybody that is listening right now, if you have not called, give her a call and have a conversation with her. It is a free thing to do, and find out. You know, especially even if you've already had one done, she will do a second opinion. I for me, and even though we think that this is peace of mind, it's not 100%,
Nope.
because it's always work in process, I
Yeah,
think.
well, and that's part of my process. I hold people's hands through the process because I'm not going to throw this book at you and just walk away
Right.
because you don't know what to do with it. And depending on the type of document somebody picks, there's after work we need to do to make sure it's complete. And that's part of our process. We follow you until you're pushing us back, at least going, I got it, we're done. And then I like to at least check in annually with my clients just to make sure, did you buy anything new? Did anything change in life? 'Cause,
You don't get that with other people.
you know, people don't know. I mean, they get my card that has their document information on one side and my card on the other, and they give this to their family because that way if something happens, they have a point of contact because they're going to be panicking. So, and I wanted to touch on pricing because people are always worried about cost. The way we do pricing is we meet with you, that's always complimentary. And then when we know where you're at, we're going to quote you a fee. We don't ever want to know how much you have. I don't care if you have a $3 million home or a $100,000 condo. It's a deed. That's all I need to know. Legal description. I'm not going to charge you more because you have a $3 million second home in Desert Mountain. But
Yeah.
some people operate that way.
I know, and that's what now let me get their phone number out. First of all, you can call in here and get the planner, and I believe everyone should have it. Please, this is not something that you should put aside. Once you start working on it, you're going to be so happy that you did. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Her website is premieraz.net, and you work nationwide.
Yes.
And then, of course, you could call her. She does free consultations. She is special because she does a successor education, which is awesome that
It's
you
just
do
one
that.
of the reasons, Carol. that
It's
I'm
just,
special.
I
Just
know
one.
that. I just know that about you. And again, you can call her direct at 602-371-8898. Transparent, you're real. I really love the way that you talk, and you're just all about, let's see what we can do here and see how we can help to make you safer, and to make sure that you're taken care of.
Yep. And
Right?
a lot of people, when they do finally come to the table, they're nervous. But at the end of a meeting, you can always tell people are feeling better. They just are. They're like, oh, okay, this isn't as big a deal. I don't have to do. They think they have to do so much work to get ready.
Right? And they think they have to have money. They think they have to. It's not about that
You
in
could
any
be
way.
a single mom living in an apartment with babies. You better have life insurance, and then you have an estate, and you can't use a will to transfer that to your babies.
Call
So
in here. Get
it's
that
not
planner.
just for rich and old people.
602-277-5369. Just tell them really quickly about this little card.
Well, when people do documents with us, we record them digitally in our office, in our clouds, or what have you, not publicly. And we provide all of your documents on a flash drive. So they're very easy to share with your family. We
I
never
love
put
that.
account numbers or socials, so there's nothing anyone's going to hurt you with. They can't do anything with these documents.
So you see, this is what they do. They really do protect you. And their phone number to call direct, they do free consultations. They work nationwide. It's 602-371-8898. The website is premieraz.net. Call in here, get this peace of mind planner. You're going to be so happy that you did. I love that you do this, and of course she specializes in successor education. No one else does it. Call here, 602-277-5369.
Thank you.